By the way, so everybody that's in the chat, we're talking about trauma. So if you have trauma and you want to talk about trauma, bring your trauma here and we will talk about it.
And before we get started, I need to put out a disclaimer because I'm sick or something. I've got something going on. I'm sneezy and stuffy and grumpy and all of the other dwarves and probably Snow White too. So just in case I see a little bit out of it. I don't know.
You know, Brandon, honey, you're not out of it.
Well, I figured if I'm focusing on somebody else's trauma, that'll keep my mind off. Distract me from my own whatever's going on here. I'm all nasally and yucky. Anyway, so there you go.
Well, all is forgiven, Brandon. All is.
Oh, there's Blue Green Dot. Hello.
Oh, okay. So we have a blue green dot now.
Hi, y'all. Hello, Miranda.
Hi, Miranda. How are you doing today? You get like 2 minutes to talk.
Okay. I'm doing. I woke up to death threats because of what happened yesterday.
You had death threats yesterday?
Yeah, because yesterday's school shooter was trans, so I woke up to messages and comments that were talking about how we all need to be locked up or lined up against a wall.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, good times.
That's very precariously difficult. I'm sorry that you...
Blue green dot, yes, is the answer to your question. Wendy and I are both trans women.
Oh. Blue green dot, yes. It doesn't get much more trans and queer than the three people in this chat right now. I'm not sure if you could tell, Blue green dot, but Brandon is really, really fucking gay. And
he's so gay.
I mean, I'm outing him to you, Blue green dot. So, you know, he can tell me I'm violating the rules or whatever.
I'm all right with it. My cat is trying to kick me out of my chair. Ugh, I'm not going to let him this time.
So I will tell you, my trauma from yesterday was the fact that I had to ban 50 accounts on the publication.
Ban 50 accounts?
Yeah.
That's a busy banning day.
Yeah, because I identified openly as a trans person, and I get this. I had 10 readers who are readers of the publication, and they made comments that I'm what's wrong with America. And so I had to, why are you reading my publication? If you
that's what I was saying. Why are they on there then?
Yeah.
I mean, why are you reading and I had one of them tell me, like, I've read your meditations. They're really, really nice. I didn't realize you were a fucking tranny. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I'm pretty sure when you look at my profile, it says, like, my profile says, wait, let me look. Yes, 52-year-old trans, weaving druidic wisdom with activism. I'm sorry, if you can't read that, that's not my fucking fault. So yeah, that's my trauma from yesterday, which was bullshit. I'm sorry you had death threats. Are your kids okay?
Yeah, they're okay.
Okay.
They're just head down their schoolwork.
Good. Well, heads down is better than reading any of the shit that is happening.
So how do you deal with that?
Well, I mean, how do you deal with that?
Some crying. It's like it's always happening, so it's not like this is the first time that people have threatened me. It's just, an extra wave. Um, but you have to develop a thick skin, and there's no good options.
Right.
I mean, as a trans person, I like when people dead name me. I mean, that just irritates me. It doesn't actually get me angry enough to get to like do something about it. Um, you know, that's why I hate to say it, but that's why queer spaces need to come back.
Yeah.
The stories in the sanctuary bar, I get DMs all the time from people who are like, "Can this be a real place, please?"
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was one of them.
Can this be a real place? Can we make this a real place? I will tell you, however, that um, if I hit the Powerball like tomorrow for $1 billion or whatever, guess what? I'm opening up like 5 of those places.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
coming to your town and I'm opening 5 of those places. And then
Make a chain.
I'm gonna hire your bitch asses to manage it so that I don't have to.
Okay.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know how else to deal with it from a.
Julie, we're happy to have you hang out with us.
Julia, you have a character in the bar already, so I think you need to. I think you need to talk about it. So, Eileen or Ayla, do you either of you have trauma you want to talk about? Or Julie, do you have trauma you want to talk about? Oh, Julie has trauma. Okay, Julie. You have the council of traumatized individuals here to listen to you. At the Copacabana.
I'm tired of my trauma.
Oh, well,
You do know
aren't
who
we
you
all?
Ayla, you have not come out as gay publicly due to judgment. Um, okay. Ayla, are you willing to come into the live to talk about this, or do you want to just chat about it publicly? Because I chat about it in the chat buffer. If you want to come on and talk, we will definitely uh, talk to you. And one of my beloved co-hosts will sub out.
I can sub out if you need me to. I'll stay in the chat though.
Please stay in the chat, Brandon. I like you a whole lot, so please stay in the chat. Yeah, everyone knows Barry Manilow was gay, right? Okay, I just want to be sure because there are people that I know that did not know that Barry Manilow was gay.
Yeah, I knew several decades before he came out.
You knew several decades before he came out.
It was obvious.
I mean, are we talking like obvious in a Paul Lynde way, or obvious in like a, in like a Liberace way?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Liberace or
Yeah, Liberace.
John.
Because look, I mean, Rock Hudson came out as gay, and no one.
Yeah.
Okay, so right, so let's talk this out. So Ayla, you told your kids, and they're just coming to accepting but lost friends. How exactly? because yeah, I mean, that's hard. Especially
It is hard.
if your kids lose friends because you come out as gay, that's difficult.
I don't know that she's saying her kids lost friends.
That's what I was
She
wondering if
lost-
she
she lost
lost a
friends.
friend.
She lost friends. Yeah, that's certainly a byproduct of this coming out process. I mean, Brandon, when you came out, um, how many
Yeah.
friends did you lose friends? And
Oh yeah. Yeah,
how did
definitely.
how did that experience go for you?
I mean, I kind of had a basically kind of a gay intervention experience,
Oh my god.
and some of my friends were at that. After that, I didn't hear from most of them ever again. Because they weren't exactly supportive or anything. Um, yeah, it didn't really go well.
Brandon.
Brandon, how old were you when you came out?
Well, I mean, I did it kind of gradually. I mean, I came out to my best friend and, acquaintances of kind of friends of friends, just little by little.
Keep talking.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I was an adult. It was, I was around, I want to say close to 30. Like, I was late 20s, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
when that happened. It was, yeah, but when I first started to go to college is when I started kind of exploring my sexuality and got online and was meeting up with guys, through
Yeah. Through the apps,
first,
all that
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, but, um, yeah, and then, well, yeah, after that, I think I might have talked about this. I tried, I had a girlfriend and tried to be normal,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
that didn't work out. So,
Hold on. Perceived normal.
right. Well, that's why I put the little normal.
Yeah.
I mean, because, yeah, but, yeah, anyway, um, there were my best friend that I came out to, uh, she tried to she set me up on a couple of dates, and, those didn't work out very well. Basically, it was just because she was just like, "Oh, I know a gay guy." It's
Yeah.
like,
Right. Yeah.
that's how, that's how it always is. It's like, well,
I have two gay friends. They must go together.
right. You'll probably live happily ever after.
Yeah.
No, well, it doesn't quite work that way. But I mean, I appreciate the effort, though. I mean, it was not bad to have that experience, to go out to have a date with another guy, just to get the experience of it. So it was okay. I look back
Yeah.
at it now and laugh, but at the time it was a little awkward.
I mean, when I came out as a queer person, um, I tried to reconcile. Um, I tried to reconcile it. I thrust myself into a couple of different situations that, um, would either scare the shit out of me and make me never want to do it again, or would just affirm in my head. So, like, I went to Mary's one night And I was that guy. Yeah, like I was in there, and it was very clearly obvious that I had never been in a gay bar before. And so, like, um, a guy, somebody I knew who ultimately transitioned, walked up to me and was like, "Yeah, you don't look like you're from around here." I'm like, "No, and I have no idea why the fuck I'm here." Um, and two, to your point and to Ayla's point, I had a friend who I went to college with. He's actually mentioned in the biography. He's actually a character in the bar, by the way. If you've read the two recent bar stories, Chris is the fundamental Christian gay guy. Um, yeah, like when I came out as queer, he went no contact, wouldn't talk to me, wouldn't even return my calls. I even went to his house one day, knocked on the door, and he knew that I was standing there, and I knew that he was in the house, and he refused to come and answer the door, and so that was really, really fucking traumatic.
Yeah.
Um, let's not even talk about being trans. When I
Yeah.
came out of like I had given up on that. I had given up on that relationship. I didn't want to, but I'd given up on it. And last year, I told Kira, I'm like, Kira, you've got to take me up to this neck of the woods. And she's like, okay. And I'm gonna take a bottle of scotch, and I did. And I went to his door and I knocked on the door, and he opened the door, and he did not recognize me at all. And he said, "Can I help you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I have a birthday present for you." And he was like, "Why would some random person give me a birthday present?" And I looked at him and I said, I'm going to detonate myself when I say this. I said, do you remember Bill? And he went, "Oh, okay." Um, and
It's always interesting to watch it process
yeah,
in their faces.
oh, oh. And so, like we went into his house and sat down, and he didn't ask me to leave right away, but on finding out that I was trans, he did want to pray for me, and
Oh, yes.
he did want to lay on hands, and he felt like that if he laid on hands and prayed to God, God would make me not trans anymore, and so
Yeah. Deliver you, get rid of that demon,
yeah,
whatever.
that demon that's inside of you. Um, so that was my experience with coming out, and um, and dealing with that. Miranda.
Yeah, so like I came out at 39. Um well, I came out as trans at 39. I had previously come out as bi. Um but since I've been married to a woman for a long time, um that was something that people could be like, "All right, that's weird, but you're married to a woman, so at least you're not living a bisexual lifestyle," whatever
Yeah.
they think that is. I mean, I know what they think that is. They think it's
By invisibility.
yeah. So, well, body erasure's fun. Um, so when I came out as trans, I immediately lost some friends. Most of them just went no contact right away. We didn't have like any one-to-one conflict. Um, I've had a lot of, excuse me, I've had a lot of friends from my evangelical days who stuck around, at least in like the level of staying connected on social media
Right.
so that I could be their like one trans friend to prove that they don't have prejudice. Like, oh, I tolerate this one. Um, but our one-on-one interactions basically disappeared. And so it was just like, you're in my feed sometimes, so you're in my feed sometimes. And, um, we just don't talk about the trans issue. Um, but I've actually lost more friends by asking Christians to behave better toward queer people than I did for coming out. One of them, he and his wife were both um, really into that litter boxes in schools bullshit. So, it was all the schools are trying to trans our kids and affirm that they're cats and all this stuff. And um, so I just kept seeing that in his posts and his wife's posts. And um, finally, I was like, this is a situation where we're probably going to have to go different ways, but I want to be direct with this person because we had a 25-year friendship. So I sent him a DM and it's like, these things aren't true. Um, these other things that, you've commented or I've seen your comments on or whatever also aren't true. And it really hurts me as a friend of yours that you are publicly bearing false witness against my community. And he basically told me uh, that it's okay to lie about evil people.
Oh,
And
there are
we haven't talked about.
exceptions.
Um,
Yeah,
I'm
there's even
told.
like it's crazy because it's like that's one of the top 10, right? You'd think there
Oh
wouldn't
yeah,
be
right.
exceptions to those, but um,
Um,
Yeah, there must be a book of exceptions somewhere in there.
uh
Elaine said, I came out young like Brandon. It's not easy that way, but in some ways, I would think it would be much more difficult to come out in midlife. I could see that. I have friends who have a lot of my childhood friends were very uncomfortable around me in my 20s, especially the ones that were raising small children. I didn't see them for many years. Some of them have come around and I'm back in their life now. Others stayed away permanently. I would think that, yeah, midlife, it would be more difficult because you tend to get kind of more set in your ways as time goes on, and if you get comfortable being in the closet and hiding who you are, then as you get older, I think it would be a lot more difficult to come out. I mean, that's what I would see, what I would think.
yeah, there's probably not a good time in life.
Yeah, well, right, right.
It's, it's, yeah. Um, yeah, something that also happened with me coming out later was my wife had to deal with a lot of flack from some of her old friends and people at work because it was, there was a combination of, um, well, if you married a man and now he's a woman, how can you still be attracted to that person? Are y'all gonna split
uh,
up? And like, I I can understand the question. Um, it's a question that people don't really need to ask. That's not their business. It's not their relationship, but people
Right.
ask that question anyway. Um, but she had people that were like telling her that she should leave me.
Yeah.
Like your husband is is fallen, has become one of those people, you should get away. Like they treated it like they'd found out that she was in an abusive relationship.
Now, are these part of the Christian church?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, that
So
kind of goes against that, doesn't it? I mean, the only exception for divorce is infidelity, right? So
mhm.
Um,
they're
yeah,
asking the
here's
wife to sin.
I here's the thing. Yeah, I biblically like that's the only reason
Yeah.
that divorce can happen. Ayla, 43, it's actually not that old. It really is not that old. I want to just say this, Ayla. There's no age limitation on when you can come out.
Right.
Despite the fact that Julie Elder, who is in this chat right now, says that she is 71 and it's too late for her to come out. I think even that is bullshit. Um,
I've known people who've come out in their 60s and 70s, um, and they still get the relief of being themselves, and they still have radically changed from dreading living a lie to being joyful about being themselves.
uh, Ayla says, I've been working on it bit by bit. I found that was better for me. I mean, I know some people that have a big, coming out kind of thing and everything, but I mean, that wasn't going to work in my life, in my circle. But it was easier for me to come out to individuals. But that's kind of how I am anyway. I make connections with one-on-one with people better than, like, I'm not a social butterfly. I don't go to parties and kind of, you know, uh,
Truly.
make friends with the crowd or whatever. I make connections individually. So I don't know. I think it depends on your personality.
so then that begs the question, and I'm going to ask this question, and I will offer to answer the question also, um, because it was disastrous. But so when you finally did come out, how did your first dating relationship work, or how did it go?
As far as an actual relationship or just a date?
No, no, like you went out on a date, and that was the person that you had however long of a relationship with.
Oh, okay. Well, the first one it was basically more of like the physical attraction that
Okay.
started it,
Yeah. Okay.
the physical part that, you know, and then the relationship kind of developed out of that. And uh, that's not the way that's not the way I should have done it because we really didn't have that much in common. And I realized that way too late and stayed with him way longer than I should have. But I was very attracted to him and I enjoyed the physical part of it. So yeah, it didn't go that well.
I
Do you feel like you stayed with him longer because he was your first?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
part of it. I mean, I felt like maybe I wouldn't be able to get anybody else. Like if I broke up with him, that might be it. I don't know if I can, find somebody that else that I'm compatible with or who will love me and whatnot. So that was part of it.
So that was my experience. My experience was I went to Blake's one night, and his name was John, and John was there, and he was very physically attractive, and he was very bear-like. Like he was a muscle, through and through. He was a muscle bear, and he was a construction worker, and so like that hit all the T's, and so um, and I was living in a precarious moment at that time. I was sleeping in a car, and so it was as much from my perspective a survival deal than it was anything else. And so, um, you know, I didn't fuck on the first date, but the second date, which was like 3 or 4 days later, yeah, it didn't go well. I will just say this, it was a very painful experience and there was bleeding involved. But from my perspective, I thought that's how gay relationships work. And so, I was with him for a while and I just thought that's how it was. And so, in the same case, yeah, did I stay with him much longer than I should have? Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, quite a bit longer. Because I didn't think I'd ever be in another relationship.
Right.
Because I was married before that, and so being in a marriage before that and thinking at this stage of my life, I'm never going to be in another relationship. And so I need to be in this abusive relationship because I believe that's where I belong. Um, the sad part about it is it turns out the second relationship I had was the same way. It was a different situation, though. It wasn't an aggressive, painful experience. It was you know, the bedroom was a crowd of 5 people, not two. And even though I don't think at the time I was polysensitive, I'm polysensitive now. I have numerous poly friends, and when I hang out with them, I'll be cute and affectionate with them but at the time, I hadn't crossed that bridge. I had not read the book Polysecure. If you want to understand poly relationships, there's a lovely book called Polysecure. That's the name of the book. I'll link you to it. Go and read it. That book does an amazing amount of explanation for non-monogamy, ethical non-monogamy, polyamorous, polycule types of relationships. And those are there you go, Corinne. That's the name of the book. Um,
Yeah, there are a lot of misconceptions about poly relationships, and
yeah,
even if that's not something you're interested in or feel drawn to, that book is really informative. And
yeah, yeah. I consider that book to be the tome that everyone should read if you're going to explore. But that was the thing at the time. I was not ready to cross that bridge. I was not ready to, and so multiple people coming in and out of the bedroom was just, oh my God, this offends my sensibilities. I can't deal with this. And so
Yeah.
that it created trauma. It created trauma. So, I mean, I can't ask you that question, Marina, because I knew you never went out on a second date with anybody. If you're still married.
well, I'm still married, but there's been a lot of relearning um, for
Why?
both of us.
Why?
Why?
Yes, why?
Yeah. So, part of transition is really learning about who you are. And so, I came out and entered this mode of like, I know that I'm a woman. What sort of woman am I? And how does that meld in a relationship with my wife?
Right.
Um, and and so there was, I'm learning about who I am, and she's learning more about who I am. Um, Sexuality was a whole different thing to figure out. There was, um, I've probably never been your typical guy in the bedroom. Um, and I never understood the guys I would talk to who were like, hit it and quit it. And like, what? You don't, you don't want to make love to your partner for 3 hours until you're both exhausted? What? Um,
Brandon, that's the smile of somebody that knows all about hit it and quit it.
um, so, that was something to figure out, and it's, something we're still exploring. And, um, yeah, so it was like, we stayed together, um, but we had to, um, do a lot of rediscovering each other like you do when you're first dating somebody.
Right. Yeah, that tracks. Um, That that tracks.
I do actually like foreplay and cuddling and everything,
We believe you.
No, I didn't say that that's what you prefer. I said that's the smile of somebody that knows.
I have experience with it. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Because I have too, and it was not a fun experience. Because I got call blocked that morning. I got call blocked that morning. That was like, oh shit, here we go. I should be used to this by now, but um, you know, relationships in the trans community though are very complicated. Miranda won't know this because she's never been there, but um, one of the things that happens in trans social circles is the whole trans Olympic bullshit. You have a so for a long time, I had brunches at my house, and I invited all my trans friends, trans and gay and queer friends over to have, and I would cook food, and people would eat free food and shit and hang out or whatever. Well, doing that caused certain people to gravitate towards other people. And so watching that happen, I mean, I watched my friend Shay like attached to one person and then again to another and then again to another until she finally ended up with Tammy. And I did the same thing. Before Aubrey was involved in the situation, there was a year of trans brunch events that happened where Aubrey was not part of the equation. And, there was like one girl and then there was another trans girl. And so there was like three or four of it. And yeah, you just have to relearn the whole dynamic.
Yeah. And a lot of people prefer T for T relationships. Um, for a variety of reasons, including that we're not always safe dating cis people.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Especially trans women who date men. There are a lot of chasers out there who uh, find us attractive
Right.
physically, but it's in an objectifying, fetishizing sort of way. And so, um, once the sex is done, then it leads into abuse or being the victim of his shame. So
That's
I
one
know
thing
lots of trans people who've tried dating, more broadly, and then after being hurt, have decided, nope, I'm just in my community. That's it.
yeah.
Well, I mean, it's safer that way. A very dear friend of mine, Becky, did that. She dated a guy who was a cishet guy, and Becky was stealth. You couldn't tell, and he that they were in a relationship, and then they moved in together. And when they moved in together, she wanted to more adequately express her gender to other people, and so um, he wasn't having it, and so he would beat her up at night to convince her that if she went out, she was a woman, and that was it. And it was because for him to be kind of the Calpurnia deal.
Hmm.
If you remember Calpurnia, she dated an army guy, and then he ended up getting killed. And it was because everybody found out that she was trans. Um, in this guy's case, he wasn't going to have that happen. So he physically abused her to
Yeah.
force her into that stealth space. And it's just like, um, I mean, Brandon, you've dated a closeted guy before, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How did
I
that
don't
go
know if
down?
I'd call it dating, but yeah.
No, I mean, really, like, have you tried to have a relationship with a closeted guy before?
Um. Well, yeah. Um. He was he was closeted. He was kind of he was willing to come out, and he was kind of working on it, But
Right.
yeah,
But I mean,
I was gonna.
you couldn't be holding hands in public and shit.
Actually, he did. I mean, he got to that point
Ah,
where, yeah, we were walking through Walmart or whatever, and he held my hand, and so he was definitely um taking those steps,
right,
but yeah, I was the first guy that he had been in a relationship with,
right,
and so I mean, it was I don't it was kind of difficult in some respects, but I mean, I understood where he was coming from. I know how hard it is, but
right.
it also felt like, I really want him to be proud to be with me, and tell like his family and stuff like that. But I definitely wasn't pushing him. I would encourage him, like, well, maybe you could tell, like, just your sister or whatever, or something like that. And this is the boyfriend that died, and he um he told me that he didn't need to tell them because he thought they already knew probably, and I was like, I didn't really believe him too much, but it wasn't till at the funeral when I was talking to his dad and his sister, and them telling me how much he talked about me. And sorry that uh I, I didn't know that. It was just,
Oh
I
gosh,
didn't realize
man.
that. And anyway,
Sweetie, take a minute, please.
no,
Um,
that was hard.
yeah, I when you sort of deal with that, the viscerality of those feelings. Um, when I was younger, there was a relationship that I had. This was many, many years ago, and I never told anybody about it. But um, I was a kid, 17, and it was a relationship that nobody in any of those situations would have dealt with. And so, there was a time in which I moved away from that relationship because I physically moved away. And it was not a few miles, I'll just say that. And so, years later, um, I found out about 7 years ago that he had gone on his long walk to
Yeah.
into a field, and so I got very sad about it, but I talked to his brother, and so, he was like, "Well, you should know something," and I said, "Well, what's that?" And he said, um, "He held on to you for a really long time, and I did not know how to compartmentalize that." And so he I found out from his brother and from his sister even, that, like, every other person that he dated after that, and he did for a long time, they were guys who were like me. And so, his brother told me, he says, Kurt was a great guy and he really cared about you. And so I was like, there was no way that I was ready for that kind of relationship. Um, and so, you know, he said, "Well, here, I'm just going to give this to you." And it was a picture book, and it was a picture book of like every picture he and I had ever taken together. And I so hated myself back then that I would not have been aware of it. And so, yeah, it hurts. Here's the comforting thing. The comforting thing about that is that he came to that realization long before I did. I went down that road and said, "No, fuck this. I can't do this."
Mhm.
He went down that road, and then there was a hiccup, and then he just said, "No, this is that's what it's supposed to be." And so, and yeah, it hurts to talk about it, but he died from having HIV. Um, and so, that makes for me, that makes it even worse. Um, but that doesn't make it any easier. God, no, it's Whew. Yeah, that hurts. I'm Brandon. I'm sorry that you had to experience that.
Yeah, me too.
Um, and I'm going to ask a really probably out of place question, but have you put that in the box that it belongs in?
Meaning what exactly?
Have you dealt with it?
I mean, well, obviously, I mean, I get emotional anytime I talk about his his death, you know, and the
Yeah,
things surrounding it.
yeah.
So I don't think it'll matter how much time passes, that'll still happen. But I
Well,
do
And there's
I
nothing
do
wrong with that.
yeah, yeah. I I'm glad that, like, it makes me feel good that to think about how much he loved me, you know, knowing that. So, I mean, that helps.
um, I mean, look, if anybody's read the biography, not listened to me and read the biography, about Karen. And I've been trying to compartmentalize Karen as much as I've tried to compartmentalize Kurt, and I still haven't done it. I mean, somewhere in this house is a near 500-year-old soul that was involved in that event, and why I've held on to it all this time, I don't know. But it's the same fucking thing. Every time it moves around the house, Aubrey's like, "You need to quit fucking doing that. You need to quit picking that thing up." Because yeah, I when I think about Karen Moran or I think about Kurt, I can't. I get more emotional over that than I do Zoe, and Zoe was my mother. It doesn't make those feelings any easier. But what is it they say? Closure's a myth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Closure is a fucking lie. Oh, gosh. So, Brandon, one, I'm sorry that you were still hurt by that. Thank you for sharing that moment, but I'm sorry that you're still hurt by that. And I wouldn't want you. Of course, I say that and I say if I weren't trans, I'd date you. Um, gosh. Whew. Okay.
Well, not the direction we thought this would go, probably.
No. Oh, fuck no. Does anybody have any trauma they want to talk? Kryn Johansson, do you want to come on the show and talk about trauma? Um, watch Kryn say yes.
Yeah, let's all go drink.
Yeah, I look. I need 4 fingers of Macallan's at this point. Um, Eileen, I hate when I tell people that I'm divorced and they ask, "Oh, but are you still civil with each other?" And I'm like, no, I had to go contact. Eileen, why would you feel bad about that? That's not something to feel bad about. It really isn't. Ayla, of course, I'm glad that you came and you were able to converse and talk because, Corinne, Like those two, maybe, but not this one.
What part? Oh, you were all great.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, they're great. I'm not. Uh, self advocate.
I try to tell Wendy that she is, but she won't listen to me.
Yeah, I know. Many people tell me that but I don't. Um, I think yes, hate is a very strong word. I would say try not to use hate. No, Millicent, I won't listen to anyone. People have been trying for a long time to fix my emotional puzzle piece fuckery, and it still hasn't happened yet. I spent a week with Miranda, and she couldn't do it, and she tried. Um,
I tried.
yeah. What does that link do?
oh, did I not?
Yeah,
I don't
you
know what
put
I'm doing.
you
I went to her page. I went to her page, and I guess I need to delete the end of it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You don't need to pass a UTM campaign argument for that.
Hang on a second. One of my kids is calling.
Oh yeah, we'll wait for you. Uh, gosh, her most recent post is a quantum leap image.
Yeah, I just went to the page and copied the the address and put it in there.
Quantum leap.
I'm not Craig, you know.
Yeah, I
He,
know.
he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, Kragers knows what he's doing. I don't. Um. Uh. I. I. I don't profess to know what the fuck I'm doing. So. Um. Don't anyone believe it. Uh, don't anyone believe it. Um. Well,
Wendy just works in tech. It's not like she knows how any of it works.
look. I have to tell you, I did an interview today, and it was a very positive experience. And I talked to the person. Get this, it's a Canadian company. So, like, dude, here's a funny queer moment. So, people that know, my email address is Colonel Girl, and so, like, I wasn't sure, and so for that interview, I purposely took my headscarf off, and I did not shave this morning, thinking I would have to like halfway male present or whatever. And then, because interviewing as a trans woman is a very precariously difficult situation. And so
Sorry.
I've interviewed as a trans woman before and have been hung up on, like gotten halfway through the interview and people were like, why do you have tips on your fingers? And why are you wearing makeup and all this other stuff? And it's like, well, because I'm trans. Oh, you're a trans person? Click, and they hang up. So like for this interview, yeah, I like didn't shave and I didn't do any of my beautification or whatever. And so like at the end of the interview, she says, I have a question. And I said, okay. What's your question? And she says, so I see your email address and I see that your preferred name is Wen. And I had stood up in the interview and she saw my shirt. Well, my shirt is the, you know, keep calm and let Wendy handle it deal, whatever. And so she says, do you go by Wendy? And I said, yes, I do. How could you tell? And she's all like, well, it's kind of obvious. And I said, okay, well, is that a problem? And she said, um, this is a Canadian company. If you're not safe with a Canadian company, you're not going to be safe with anybody. And so I told her, I was like, oh, well, thank you. I really appreciate that or whatever. And so she was like, yeah, um, if your chosen name is Wendy, I want the people in my company to call you Wendy. And I said, oh, okay. Well, I can never be sure because, like I said, interviewing as a trans person is a very difficult situation, and
Hmm.
it can go horribly wrong. I've been on an interview where I identified as a trans person, and I got called a faggot and a sissy and a tranny and, or whatever. And we don't have room for any of you people. And so, yeah, it's
Yeah, transphobia is so normalized that even in a professional setting, uh,
Yeah. Wow.
hating us is free game.
yeah, and that makes it fair game. And so she said, "No, no, no. We are an inclusive environment." And I said, "Really?" And she said, "Yes. And if you've been hung up on, that means that you're in a difficult situation. So I'm going to do something." And I said, "Oh, okay." Um, she was like, "Look, I'm hiring for SRE, site reliability engineering roles, and I'm hiring for a cloud ops role, and then I'm hiring for a project management role. And do you have project management experience?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I have my PSM1, my PSM2. I had to get it for some random job or whatever." And she's like, "Okay, well, look, I'm going to submit you for all three of those jobs, and I'm going to get you interviews with all three of those managers because you shouldn't have to deal with that shit." And I was like, "Oh, wow, really?" And she said, "Yes. And we have an Atlanta office, by the way. And the cloud ops manager, by the way, is also trans. And I will make sure that you interview with her." And I was like, "Oh, okay," or whatever. And so, like, there's a time to identify and then there's a time not to. And that was the exact right time that I should have had that discussion because that interview was supposed to go a half hour. We would have been going at 1:30, but at 1:30, I was still jamming away with this girl and talking to her and shit. And then suddenly 2 o'clock hit, and when if you ever interview for a job, if your job interview is scheduled for a half hour and you go for twice as long, that's usually a good sign. And so,
I'm glad that you found an advocate in the company. That is,
yeah, I was, oh, fuck,
that's incredible.
well, yeah, to get like 3 interviews already scheduled out of one conversation entirely was like, holy fuck.
Yeah,
Yeah, holy fuck, that's brilliant. And so, yeah, that was my not traumatic event for the day. And so, um, Kryn, you interviewed with a trans guy and he came out to you? I feel like that's fucking awesome. Kryn, when we do Trauma Thursday, Trauma Tuesday, Trauma Thursday again, you should come in. You should come in as a co-host, and we should talk. Um, so that's all I have. Brandon, do you have anything? Brandon, are you okay?
Yeah. Yeah. It just, it always happens when I talk about it. But
Well, I want to reiterate that in the future, if you feel comfortable to talk about that, please do. If you don't talk about it. Um, I mean, I would
I've
not.
written a I've written a couple articles about it too, and every time I write them or read them over again, I get emotional
yeah.
about it. It just bring me back to that.
You mean like every time I read the 2 chapters about Helen from the bio, I can't read the Helen chapters without just completely falling apart. Um, Susan, I am proud and full of joy that I'm the first trans person that you have met and talked to,
Hmm.
and I'm certain Miranda feels relatively the same.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, it's so I in the future, Brandon, if we're gonna talk trauma, then meter what we're talking about, and if you get close to
Yeah,
that.
wherever your boundary needs to be.
Yeah, don't.
Yeah, I mean, I know I could have said I could have said I don't want to talk about it or whatever. It was fine. I'm okay with it.
I mean, I think vulnerability isn't bad, but that doesn't make it not hard. That doesn't make it not hard. Miranda, do you have anything for the close?
I'm shaking my head no, but I'm thinking. So to go back to the very beginning of our conversation,
Right.
where I mentioned that uh, I woke up to threats because the perpetrator of the horrible thing yesterday was apparently a trans person. Um, all of you who aren't trans, um, please, stick around, learn about us, and um, know that like your advocacy and you shutting down people who want to blame things like that on our whole group is very important, um, and so much more helpful than me saying we're not all like that. Um, because a lot of people just aren't going to believe me. They're not going to believe Wendy. Um, so you know, we need we need your advocacy more than ever.
It's just so silly. I mean, if a guy committed these murders, you wouldn't say all men should be eliminated or whatever, or if I don't know. You know what I mean? Though it's just
Yeah, it's different standards for different groups of
yeah,
people based on the hierarchy that patriarchy has laid out for us.
It's
it's
like
just ridiculous.
it's like the bathroom argument. Trans women should not be able to go into women's bathrooms because they're going to violate women. Yet the statistic of people that commit violent sexual acts on women is 99% cisgendered white men,
Right.
Hmm.
not people like me who go into a bathroom to use a fucking bathroom and that's it.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's the same argument. They have that fucked up reverse logic. But advocacy, yes, I will implore every person who is in this chat, please advocate for us because our voices can't be loud enough. I mean, I had to ban 50 accounts yesterday because I'm a trans woman and because people told me that I'm the reason that people are getting killed in school. And that's painful. So, all right, well, cool. Well, with that, let's close up. Miranda, Brandon, thank you.
love you both.
Next Tuesday,
You
maybe.
too.
No, I love you both way more. Way.
Oh no.
No, it's
No.
like no, Brandon. It's like this big. It's like this big. This big. Because I'm
Infinity times
5 and it's like
infinity.
this big. All right. Next week. Thank you both.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.